Irish guy, and yeah, my second video in a row where I'm talking about Scott Parker. Oh, this feels weird. I mean, I wouldn't usually choose to think about him. Honestly, it's like me doing 2 consecutive videos on my favorite brand of cabbage. What? But lads, it seems like the world is very, very angry right now.
Scott Parker sacked is a disgrace. Really going to enjoy Bournemouth getting relegated now. Sacking Scott Parker 4 games into the season is an absolute disgrace. Hope Bournemouth suffer for the rest of the season and never see Premier League football again. Scott Parker getting Bournemouth promoted and then being sacked after just 4 games is a disgrace. Hurry up and get back to the championship. Sacking Scott Parker after 4 games is a disgrace. The sacking of Scott Parker is an actual disgrace. Tin Pot Club. Scott Parker being sacked is an absolute disgrace. Hope Bournemouth go down now, to be fair. Absolute disgrace sacking Scott Parker.
Okay, talk about an overreaction. Honestly, it's just Scott Parker. I get he's a popular ex-England pro, but calm down. Twice above, Jose Mourinho got sacked by Chelsea twice. So, relax. Wanting Bournemouth to get relegated and never see the light of day again, this just seems like, oh, I don't know, if I dropped an ice cream on Hugh Grant's foot and then everyone wanted me to go to jail. Lads, are Bournemouth, are they now the Premier League's villain? Are they the new Watford? Stroking a cat with an eye patch on their eye? No, I'm sorry, but no, I can't, okay? I cannot take Bournemouth seriously as the bad guys. No, this is sweet little Bournemouth, who just play in a footballing cottage full of aging retired pensioners who've chosen to go and die living by the sea and probably decide their brand of cereal based on which one helps them poo. Honestly, there's probably not even any beer in the stadium. It's just a bunch of old boys ordering a pint of milk. Honestly, you cannot get mad at Bournemouth. It's like screaming at Piglet or Mickey Mouse. Scott, come on, look at their owner. I mean, he looks like someone who probably grew up reading Wolverine comics, eating pizza for lunch, and was probably too scared to talk to a girl until he was 34. How can anyone paint him out to be football's answer to Mr. Burns? I mean, is he really the big bad Tony Soprano of the sport? No! Can we relax? Stop pretending like Scott Parker was the second coming of Sir Alex Ferguson. He was the closest thing I've ever seen to another Tim Sherwood. Just know this guy's got QPR written all over his face. Honestly, if he's not QPR boss by the end of next season, then I need steak up on toilet seats. It's quite ironic though. Parker's last trip to Anfield, he won there with Fulham, and suddenly, because of that, he was instantly back for the Tottenham job. That miracle win during lockdown, that result made his career. It's a bit fitting that 2 years later, Anfield is the ground which has buried his career in the loo. Right now, there's so much love for Scott Parker on Twitter. You'd swear the man had just donated 3 liters of his own blood to save diabetic puppies on the internet, right? No, this guy is not the male reincarnate of Mother Teresa. Am I the one who thinks that sucking Scott Parker seems about right? This is the statement the board have just released.
We must also show belief in and respect for one another. That is the approach that has brought this club so much success in recent history, and one that we will not veer from now.
Yeah. Did nobody listen to Parker's post-match interview at Anfield? After losing 9-0, yes, 9-0. I mean, did Parker come out and apologise for having the tactical ideology of a teapot? No, he chose to instead say there were millions of reasons why the squad hadn't been strengthened, and that the players he had at his disposal were ill-equipped to deal with this level. Well, I'm sorry, never did I think that a guy who's captained so many football clubs would in reality be just a whiny complainer. Honestly, around the house, does he also nag his wife whenever she pisses on the toilet seat? Is he the type of person to burst into tears whenever he finds soggy Rice Krispies on the floor? I mean, if his kids dare to sneeze whilst he's watching Better Call Saul, does he threaten to stick them up for adoption? Let's not forget, this guy who stormed out of Fulham after he helped them get relegated, and so choose to take an ambitious sideways jump to Bournemouth after hinting that both he and the board of Craven Cottage were not seeing eye to eye on how things should be done. So he thought he knew better than Fulham on how to run the club. Yeah, they went and won the league without your help, Scott. Okay, just a quick break in the video to let everybody know that this video is sponsored by Why Food. Yeah, why food? Sounds like a question a psychologist might ask James Corden when he refuses to put down the fork. But no, why food is part of the smart food category, meaning that it is nutritionally complete. I mean, don't you just hate it when you're trying to eat a burger on the train? I mean, you're lucky if the sauce doesn't blind an old woman in the eye. I mean, try and eat a bowl of cereal on the bus. Oh, good luck. Have fun explaining to everyone why their coats are now covered in milk. But why food is a complete ready-to-drink meal that you can have on the go with no mess. You'll stay full for 3 to 5 hours. It's lactose and gluten-free. And they even have a vegan range for all you difficult hipsters out there. They come in 2 sizes. 500 milliliters and 330 milliliters. But I mean, if that's too filling for you, you know, the awkward people with a stomach smaller than a pencil case, then don't worry, because they got powders and bars. Their ready-to-drink range has got flavors like smooth vanilla, classic choco, crazy coconut, cold brew coffee, happy banana, salted caramel, and heavenly hazelnut. So get 10% off with the code TheIrishGuy10. Link in the description. Back into the video. Parker seems to be someone who marches in the boardrooms and throws around ultimatums as if he's Brian Clough.
Oh, you have to give me a certain length of contract. You have to give me enough money to spend in the market.
Or maybe maybe, Scott, maybe you should consider yourself lucky to have walked into 2 championship jobs, considering you have the coaching experience of Mike Nat. You know, the one who lives on her own and spends her Tuesday mornings vomiting cat food into her lap. Aussie Scott Parker was disqualified for Fulham as Kevin Nolan, but he's just content to work in the backroom at West Ham for the rest of his life. That man doesn't want the limelight. When it's fashionable to give ex-pros the manager's gig purely because they play for you, he could walk in the Bolton Wanderers in the morning and feature on every Thogden vlog. Parker is 41 years of age. To me, this fella should arguably be beginning his managerial career this summer, after 5 years of coaching the under-18s at Tottenham. I mean, this summer, he should have started in League One with Derby County. He rushed into this too soon. You cannot come out and criticise the transfer policy of the men who employ you. You just can't do it. What did you expect? This guy was savaging the confidence of his own players. I mean, do you know how much Eddie Howe had to spend the first summer he had Bournemouth in the Premier League? £19 million. And yes, there were 5 free transfers in there too, and really £8 million of that went on Tyrone Mings, and he barely played. So really, that was about £11 million worth of talent. And he also had to wave goodbye to a world-class left-back in Ian Hart. It was tough. I mean, did he moan, whine, complain? And now, he went and grafted 42 points instead. I mean, this is a team who conceded 10 goals across 2 consecutive games in October. I mean, they could have crumbled, could have wilted. Howe could have tried to save his reputation. When in December, the club had failed to win 8 games in a row. He was even given the dreaded vote of confidence by the board. Again, I'm not sure why any chairman think that's comforting. Most managers would sooner the owner sent a photo of his knob to their wife than back him in public. It's so unnecessary. But under pressure in 2015, Howe could have blamed the owners, the players, so desperate not to get the sack. But now, he rolled up his sleeves and instead chose to then just beat Chelsea and Man United back to back. And now, he's manager of the richest club in the world, with more money to spend than he could ever dream of. And all because he didn't moan and whine about the days when he was given fat Teletubbies like Sylvain Distin and Glenn Murray on frees. Which honestly, for a relegation battle in the Premier League, that's a bit like telling your mum that you've been starving all day, and so she decides to serve you a boiled shoe. I mean, I know this squad of Bournemouth players is not the best, but there's still a bunch of 15 to 20 million pound footballers in there. The likes of Philip Billick, Lloyd Kelly, Dominic Solanke, Jefferson Lerma. The club paid big money for these guys. I mean, look at Blackpool in 2010. Ian Holloway had a team stuffed with journeymen, and with a staff wage bill probably cheaper than the local Burger King. But did he complain? Did he moan? Did he whine about having a human hamburger like a Martin Harewood stuffed up front? And again, this is a team which barely spent anything in the transfer window. And yet, look at the teams all around them in the relegation scrap. Look at who they were buying. I'm sure Ian Holloway would have loved to sign a Hatta Ben Arfa, a Stephen Fletcher, a Winston Reid, a Marcus Alonso, a Ben Foster, a Czech Tiote. He would have ripped off his left nipple to buy Asamoah Gyan or even a Jermaine Beckford. These were all players on the move that summer. But Blackpool didn't buy these guys, and yet he didn't hang his players up to dry. Instead, he defended them to within an inch of his life, absolutely screaming into the face of journalists who criticised him for playing his B team against Aston Villa. Honestly, check out that video, it's insane. This team could easily have finished bottom of the league with 10 points. Honestly, it was risky. A bit like swimming into the sea when you've got a broken spine. But guess what? With everyone pulling together in the right direction, they won 10 Premier League games and went down with 39 points. Unlucky because virtually any other season, 39 points would have kept you up. I mean, Blackpool did concede 78 goals, yes. But guess what? They never lost by more than 6 goals. 9-0? 9-0 is what happens when you can sense that your own manager doesn't believe in you. Lads, Ian Holloway took little old Blackpool to Anfield and won. I mean, come on! Yes, there was a 6-0 defeat to Arsenal in August, but they recovered and rallied. Did anyone think that Bournemouth were recovering with a wet sponge like Parker at the helm? Blackpool, that was the right attitude to have. I mean, when you've been told to work with a bunch of footballers who, might be more suited to pictionary or chess, but still, you're being paid to get on with it. So get on with it. Not Parker's whining self-pity about being forced to work with such a useless bunch of rubbish. I mean, you don't want a manager who's down in the dumps and a pessimist from the get-go. It's why, I'm gonna say something insane here, but 6 years ago, Sunderland should have sacked David Moyes when he was less than 10 games into the job. He was the same. Openly embracing for a relegation battle, talking down the quality of his own players. Is he a better manager than Sam Allardyce? Yes, but Big Sam kept them up the season before with a positive attitude. If your manager thinks you're going down, you're going down. Moyes should have gone in September 2016 and replaced with, I don't know, Roy Hodgson. Honestly, a happy Hodgson would have probably kept them up. I know he got them up, but whispered quietly. managing Bournemouth in the Championship, because of the excellent foundations laid there by nearly 10 years of Eddie Howe, it's not that hard. Lads, Jonathan Woodgate is a perfect example of a coaching cupcake. He is a guy who in his first managerial job nearly relegated his beloved Middlesbrough to League One. I think we've all established he's got the coaching pedigree of a bag of cheese. It's why he spent last spring begging Leighton Orient for a job, and yet immediately before Parker, he had the interim Bournemouth job. Oh, and he was responsible for winning 7 games in a row. So did Parker perform a miracle job last season getting them up? For the squad they had, no. They should have blown the Championship apart anyway. And yet still, don't forget the wretched runs of form. Like last winter when they failed to win 6 games on the bounce. I mean, there were 4 0-0 draws in the season, which would suggest to me that at times they're about as much fun to watch as 2 homeless guys kissing in the tub. And I can't be the only one who remembers that one of Parker's first games in the job was travelling to Carrow Road and watching his team concede 6. And there's nobody remember this managerial mastermind was the guy in the dugout when they lost in the FA Cup to Boreham Wood at home against a bunch of part-time mechanics and software engineers. This was arguably the best squad in the Championship, and yet last season they still failed to win 23 games of football. They failed to win nearly as many games as they won. I mean, when Parker was at Fulham too, yes, he got them promoted, but again, they came up in 4th and failed to win more games than they won. They didn't win 25 games. Parker has had 2 seasons in the Championship with clubs that had just been relegated. He failed to win nearly 50 matches. I mean, come on! Honestly, this Bournemouth team is a side that should probably be promoted before Parker joined. But it's just, you can imagine how shell-shocked an environment Bournemouth was after losing experienced furniture like Ryan Fraser, Nathan Aki, Aaron Ramsdale, Callum Wilson, Harry Arter, Dan Gosling, Josh King, and even Arthur Bart and Jermaine Defoe in one summer. Honestly, poor old Jason Tyndall. I mean, it's like returning home after a 2-week vacation in Jamaica, only to find burglars to rob the contents of your fridge. Oh great, your first night back in the country, and you're just having to chew chunks out of the carpet and drink pints of toilet water. But Parker, this team had already settled under Woodgate, so really, getting these players promoted, I'm struggling to find a coach who wouldn't have managed that. I mean, lad, Paul Ince took 8 years out of football, choosing to spend the meantime just eating popcorn, slagging off Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and sneezing in Wilbert's car. And yet now, he's got little old Reading and his son top of the Championship. Anything can happen down there. But who's next? Right now, Bournemouth have Gary O'Neill as interim coach. I mean, I remember him. A bang average Portsmouth and Middlesbrough winger who, I'll tell you his legacy. His legacy in my head. Back in 2006, he made a cocky bet with teammate Sean Davis about neither one being allowed to cut their hair until they scored a Premier League goal. Yeah, they both ended up playing the season with lockdown haircuts. O'Neill didn't score until January, and Davis didn't score at all. That's O'Neill. Oh, how embarrassing. Bournemouth need a new manager quick, and the favourite is Sean Dyche. I mean, I can't argue with that. Either he or Chris Wilder would be a sensible choice. 2 men who'll just roll their sleeves up and get on with it. But I won't go with the boring, dull as Weetabix obvious choices. I'm gonna say this. Why don't Bournemouth offer a wage to Marcelo Bielsa? If you're going to go down, you might as well go down playing a wacky brand of entertaining football. I mean, why not? It's falling with style. These men would bring an aura, a star quality. Honestly, my choice would be Bielsa, or if you can manage it, Rafa Benitez. Now, whether he wants to lower himself to little old Bournemouth, but then again, who else wants to touch him after his Everton failure? Honestly, if you brought in Rafa, he's the complete opposite to Bielsa, yes, and it would be pretty much boring football, but I'd actually fancy him to keep you up. And my final pick, why not? Why not Ian Holloway? I was so impressed with him at Blackpool. They were my favourite team ever in the Premier. I love that Blackpool team. And he's not retired. Since Blackpool, he's had jobs at Crystal Palace, Millwall, QPR and Grimsby Town. Listen, I know he's not the right choice. I know it's silly of me to suggest him, but I just remember that Blackpool almost miracle in 2010. So if Dyche says no, if Bielsa says no, if Rafa Benitez says no, why not Ian Holloway? I don't do things that, yeah, Bournemouth might go down, but they'll go down fighting. But under Parker, honestly, look at his face. He had all the fight and hunger of courage of the cowardly dog. Anyways, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Alright, let me know. Who should be the next Bournemouth coach? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.